We have an opportunity now to talk to Miami Mayor Francis Suarez, who was in self-quarantine even before he found out he had tested positive this week, late this week, for the coronavirus. Well, Mayor, you're actually looking pretty good. How do you feel?
I feel very good. I took my temperature this morning. I was at 98 degrees. I am experiencing mild to no symptoms so far. This is actually the fourth day that I have confirmed the virus because I took the test 4 days ago, got the results 3 days ago. This is the third day that I have the results back. But I feel very good. Obviously, I'm young. And we know, as Dr. Marty, who was on the program before me, explained and has explained in the press conferences that we've held in the city, that this is something that can very, very dramatically affect people that have immunodeficiencies or are elderly. But in my case, thankfully, so far, it has been mild. And I think that's important, too, because I've been wanting to be out there as much as possible. I've been doing a video diary so that people can hopefully, through my experience and my journaling, their anxiety levels can go down a little bit if, unfortunately, they are test positive, which, as Dr. Marty said, more and more people are going to be testing positive. And there's probably a lot of people that are positive that just don't know it.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think it's very valuable because what news doesn't really talk about so much, because we do news, is that the vast majority of people with COVID-19 do recover from it. And that's a very important point. And you are sort of the living example in real time of what is going on. And if anyone doesn't realize your trajectory, you were exposed to the Brazilian delegation that was here last week. And the press secretary for the Brazilian president had tested positive, which is why you went into your own self-quarantine to begin with. How difficult was it for you, an elected official, I'm guessing not very, to get your test?
Well, actually, in my case, they asked me to come in and get tested. Once it was confirmed that I was in the same room or close proximity with this person who had tested positive, and understanding this was already a few days ago, so it was a little bit before, some of this greater outbreak. The health department called me when I already decided to self-quarantine before I issued the state of emergency and asked me to go in and get tested. Obviously, that set off a variety of different protocols, one being the decontamination of City Hall with a hazmat team. Also, all the elected officials that were in contact with me had to get tested, including our city manager and our police chief, for a continuity of operations procedure to make sure that our government can continue to function. And then some members of my family were tested because they're in such close proximity to me. I touched so many people, hundreds, if not thousands of people, and we wanted them to feel confident that if those that are so close to me that I'm literally in bed with, and literally in constant contact with are negative, then that could hopefully reduce some of the anxiety levels for them.
And how was that testing for them? Were there tests to be had? Did they have to wait? Was there blowback on some of the cases that maybe those who were protecting the number of test kits had second thoughts about?
They were tested according to the protocols for the testing. I think it was at Jackson Hospital, and they got the results the next day. And so the fear is, and I just spoke to someone who had been in contact with me 7 days ago. The fear is, what we don't want is, until we have offsite testing and until we have the ability, the capacity to test the number of people that we need to test, what we don't want is people congregating in a place, sick people and healthy people, because that could lead to the spread of the virus. But I agree with Dr. Marty that we have to do way more testing. And then the other thing we have to focus on, like you said, is, look, I tested positive. So I think I was the second person in Dade County that tested positive. I'm sure I'm not the second person in Dade County that has it, but I'm the second person that tested positive. And I'm actually happy about it, because it does put a face to this. And I think so many people that know me, I've gotten over 1,000 text messages, 600 that I haven't even been able to read. They now have someone that can actually guide them through this process and hopefully reduce the anxieties if you do test positive, which we presume that there are many, many more, thousands of people potentially who are positive right now and either asymptomatic
Yeah, no, I don't mean to cut you off, but I'm saying you're so right. We are just at the beginning of that portion. And Mayor Suarez, best of luck to you. Feel
Thank you,
good. We'll
guys.
be talking to you. And thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you, Glenna.